8, Kunti, text 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottanam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jamudiyayat
Tato Jayamudiraya.
Nastabhaya Bhadesu
Nastapayeshvabhateshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhakti Bhakti Naistike.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
It's on the board, so please, you can all repeat. Kunti Uvacha
Kunti Uvacha.
Namasye Purusham Tvadyam
Namasye Purusham Tatyam.
Ishvaram Prakrite Param
Ishvaram Prakrite Param.
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam.
Antarbhaya Avashtitam.
Antarbahiravastitam.
Kunti Uvacha
Kunti Uvacha.
Namasye Purusham Tvadyam
Namaste Purusham Tvadyam.
Ishvaram Prakrite Param
Ishvaram Prakrite Param.
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam.
Antarbhaya Avashtitam.
Antarbahiravastitam.
Kunti Uvacha
Kunti Uvacha.
Namasye Purusham Tvadyam
Namaste Purusham Tvadyam.
Ishvaram Prakrite Param
Ishvaram Prakrite Param.
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam.
Antarbhaya Avashtitam.
Antarbahiravastitam. Kunti Uvacha.
Kunti Uvacha Namasye Purusham Tvadyam
Ishvaram Param.
Ishvaram Prakrite Param
Sarvabhutanam.
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbhaya Avashtitam. Kunti Uvacha Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishvaram Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbhaya Avashtitam. Kunti Uvacha
Namaste Purusham Tvadyam.
Namasye Purusham Tvadyam
Ishvaram Te Param.
Ishvaram Prakrite Param
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam.
Alaksham Sarvabhutanam
Antarbahiravastitam.
Antarbhaya Avashtitam. Kunti Uvacha Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishvaram Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbhaya Avashtitam. Word for word translation. Kunti Uvacha
Kunti Uvacha.
Srimati Kunti said, Namaste.
Namaste.
Let me bow down. Purusham, the Supreme Person. Tva, you. Adyam,
Adyam.
the original.
The original.
Ishvaram,
Ishvaram.
the controller.
Controller.
Prakriti,
Prakriti.
of the material cosmos.
Material cosmos.
Param,
Param.
beyond. Alaksham,
Alaksham.
the invisible.
The invisible.
Sarva,
Sarva.
all. Bhutanam,
Bhutanam.
of living beings.
Living being.
Anta,
Antaha.
within.
Within.
By,
Bahi.
without.
Without.
Avasthitam,
Avasthitam.
existing.
This
Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srimati Kunti said, "O Krishna, I offer my obeisance unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, and yet you are invisible to all." Please repeat. O Krishna,
O Krishna,
I offer my obeisance unto you
I offer this.
because you are the original personality
You are the original person.
and are unaffected by the qualities of this material world.
And are unaffected by the qualities of the material.
You are existing both within and without everything,
You are existing both within and without everything.
yet you are invisible to all.
Yet you are
And,
We just wanted to ask if you're able to hear properly.
yeah, is everyone hearing me properly?
Otherwise, we have to stop the speaker because if you remember last time,
Yeah.
we had that.
I think because there is this echo also in the recording, if you put it a little lower.
No, or we can off. We all can come little
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah,
We are only few of us.
okay.
Everybody can come closer because last time the recording was an issue when we have both the time.
So purport. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisance unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original Purush, beyond the cosmos. Although all living entities are also transcendental, they are neither original nor infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, it is described as the chief among all living entities, Nityo Nityanam Shetana Shetananam. Then again, he is addressed as Ishvara, or the controller. Living entities, or the demigods like Chandra and Surya, are also to some extent Ishvara, but none of them is the supreme Ishvara, or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameshvar, or the supersoul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, she was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and only due to me one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I'm to be known because I'm the compiler of the Vedas, and I'm the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although born within and without all living beings, although both within and without all living beings is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her. Yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. It is explained as follows. That's the next verse. Om Ajnanati Brandasya Jananjala Shanakya Sakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Staptam Yena Bhutam Swamrupakama Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiyo Shiyuda Padakamalam Shiyum Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parjana Sayatam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivshakam Vitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chayatpatek Gopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhani Sutta Devi Pranamama Hari Priye Pankar Kalpta Visha Vipasan Vaivishapatnam Pavani Bhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nirvisis Srinivadi Paskachai Tesata Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this is the first verse of the prayers of Queen Kunti that Srila Prabhupada was always very affectionately speaking about Queen Kunti. These teachings are the realizations of a pure devotee. We get the insight in the consciousness of a pure devotee by hearing these prayers. Not just by hearing these prayers. To get a deeper insight, we need to hear the commentaries of our acharyas, which Srila Prabhupada represents in the purport. Srila Prabhupada found his teachings so important, these prayers, that he published these prayers in a separate book, the teachings of Queen Kunti. Teaching of Queen Kunti has the same purpose as here, but some additional paragraphs are added. That it's a beautiful book. That but here, Queen Kunti, what's happening here is that the Battle of Kurukshetra is over. The rituals for all those who died has been done. All the widows have been consoled. And now Krishna is leaving for Dwarka. But here Queen Kunti stops Krishna. And she will see also later. Yudhishthira Maharaj will come and will request him, please stay a few months longer. And Krishna stays a few months longer, but then leaves for Dwarka. But here, yes. Of course, who is Queen Kunti? Kunti is the sister of Vasudeva the so-called father of Krishna. That so Krishna is the nephew of Kunti. So so Kunti is the aunt of Krishna, and as the tradition or the etiquette requires, because Krishna plays a role of a junior, he's going to offer his respects to Kunti. But here in this prayer, we see that Kunti is offering respect to Krishna, the other way. That and from this prayer, we see that she's well aware of Krishna's position. She doesn't see Krishna just as her nephew. No, that so here Krishna is going back to Dwarka after finishing the battle of Kurukshetra. He has established Maharaj Yudhishthira on the throne. That because Lord Krishna wanted, and Mahabharat wanted Dharmaraj Yudhishthira to sit on the throne. That so that was Krishna's desire. That because the state executive head, Prabhupada says, should be pious, should be as pious as Maharaj Yudhishthira. Unfortunately, people do not want that, Prabhupada says. That people are not voting for pious people. Not at all. That it's a so-called democracy. Srila Prabhupada using this letter, he says, democracy, demon crazy, he says. That they vote, and then those who come in charge of the country and so on, what is their business, Prabhupada says, is plundering. It's heavy, is speaking the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. That that's all, they become all these lawmakers, they become an assembly of rogues and plunderers. That but the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, Prabhupada said, was very special. People were not troubled by excessive heat or drought or hurricanes and so on, because Maharaj Pariksit was pious. He was following the instructions of the Brahmins and was following the regulative principles. Nature was cooperating. That's interesting. That is this is a subtle science. They didn't yet understand this. But people were sinful and so on. Yes, what comes? And that well, what's the result? Yes, pandemics, wars, so many things. And that's what's happening today. That because material nature is controlled by Krishna. That and what's the purpose of the Vedic literature is to understand Krishna. Vedasa Sarvarameva Vidya, Krishna says, 15:15 Bhagavad Gita. That because why is this material world created? Prabhupada explains this. Material world is created for the suffering of the material soul, of the conditioned souls. That because the conditioned soul is condemned. They try to become happy without Krishna. That's why they are condemned. That Because Krishna wants them to go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world, and to reform them so that they become qualified to go to the material world. But no, one wants to become a second or a first class prisoner. That therefore there are in this material world different varieties of living conditions, but whatever position you have, we are all prisoners. And at the end of life, what do you get? It's all the same. You all die. It's all for nothing. All what they have tried to build up. That, but Lord Krishna wants a Mahabharat to rule the planet. That he wants all these condemned persons to be reformed. That and there's only people make so many plans, but there's only one successful plan. Sarva dharmam pachiyamam kam samvadham from sarva pabhyamukshisya rimacha. Surrender unto Krishna. And then Krishna takes care. Surrender means man mano bhavamat bhakto machi mama namaskar mama vaisha satyam te patichane prayosime. So says, think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer respect to me. And yes, then you will become dear to me. That's the only successful program, but is the government teaching that program? No, they are opening slaughterhouses, industries which are very polluting and cause people to get cancer and all these things. All this food is contaminated. That, but Krishna does not want us to do that. That's not his plan. That because we are not doing jhya, jhnarta karmanoya tralokam karmavan. Well, do not jhya for Vishnu or Krishna, then there will be no sufficient rain or too much rain. But Krishna made it easy. You just perform the Sankirtan Jhya, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Harinama, 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 Deva, Deva. The Harinama. But yes, that from this verse here, this first verse spoken by Queen Kunti, it appears that Kunti knows very well who Krishna is. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Krishna appears, she knows that Krishna appears to re-establish the principles of religion. That so is Ishvaram Prakriti Param. That is the supreme controller. That's Ishvaram relates also to Isha. Isha, we learn in Shir's Upanishad, is the proprietor of everything. And understanding that Krishna is the proprietor of everything is the Isa Vasya principle. And Krishna and the Shir's Upanishad teaches we should live in harmony with that Isha Vasya principle. That Krishna is the proprietor of everything. That so whatever we see in this world, even our own body, is a property of God. It's not ours. That we get it temporary. What is really ours? We are a spirit soul. What is ours is our consciousness. But that consciousness is now polluted by the action of the soul, which is desire. That's what the soul does. Become attached to something. We have become attached to enjoying Krishna's property. And that's not right. That it is true, the spirit soul is meant for enjoyment. That is what Vedanta Sutra says, that Ananda Maya Vyasat, it's meant for enjoyment. But what's the enjoyment of the soul? Enjoyment of the soul is Ananda. And that we can get when we connect, when the soul connects with Krishna, with our real self connects with Krishna in devotional service. That, but this, if we try to enjoy Krishna's property, thus the cause is only suffering. That because we are not the first enjoyer, we are not the controller, and that everything belongs to Krishna. He says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram Shakha Tapasam Sarvalok Maishwaram Surnam Sarvabhutnam Gatvamam Samtam Richati. And it's the Bhaktaram Shakha Tapasam. He's the supreme enjoyer because he's the proprietor of everything. He has the right to enjoy. To get the first enjoyer. Of course, we are part and parcels of Krishna. We are all also minute enjoyers. But we have to consider first Krishna enjoys. And then we are enjoying that. But no, people in this world, they fight. They think, I'm born in this land, it's my land. And they fight. And others say, no, it's my land. And there's war. That and what's the result? Prabhupada says, yes, they all die, but the land remains. That's the result. And that is what we see today. Actually, Krishna is the supreme proprietor. He's the Purusham, the supreme enjoyer. That he's the controller of the material energy. And this material energy, what does Krishna say about that in Bhagavad Gita? Mama Maya Durachya. Very difficult to overcome. That we see everyone thinks himself the body, a man, a woman, or whatever. And so many designations, American, English, or Indian. Yeah, all designations, upadhis. Narada Muni says there's false designations that, and we live according to these false designations, and what's the result? Nothing, only suffering. That so, but Krishna says, Maya metam tarantite. If you can easily overcome this material energy if you surrender to that. So on our own, we cannot surpass the stringent laws of material nature. Prabhupada said stringent laws. Stringent. It means you cannot overcome. It's not possible. It's not possible to fight with Maya, with the material energy. You will lose, always. It's stronger than you. That. But Krishna says, Maya metam tarantite. We can only come out of the influence of material nature. Because material nature has only influence on the body and the subtle and the gross material nature. If we come on the spiritual platform and not identify with the subtle and the gross body, then, yes, then we don't identify, but we identify ourselves as a servant of Krishna. then we come out of it. But that constant identification as a servant of Krishna requires that we constantly think of Krishna. That is required. Because otherwise, life after life is a struggle for existence. Material life, identifying with the body, means always anxiety. Anxiety, you have different types of material body, but in every type of body there is anxiety, because we have accepted something which is foreign to us. We are spiritual and we belong to the spiritual world. We are eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, but have not accepted this material body. How do you accept the material body? By your desire to exploit material nature. Bhungte Pragati Jan Gunan in 13th chapter. That's the cause why we are rotating to all these different kinds of bodies. Bhungte Pragati Jan Gunan. We are trying to exploit material nature with this Krishna's energy. That Bhungte Pragati Jan. That, and therefore we are under this threefold miseries. That Adibhauti, Adibhautik, Adidevik, Adijahi. Adidevik, we are under the control of material nature, this body. And we are slaves of this body. It must eat, it must do so many things. And we are working for it, for this body, and even to maintain it. That Adibhautik, these are sufferings afflicted upon us by other living entities. And we see also many times. And Adhyatmic, all the suffering coming from our mind and our own body. It's without end. But when we come to our eternal, blissful spiritual condition, then we will be able to first to become peaceful and then experience this ananda, this love of God, which is our natural position. We want to love and be loved. Everyone wants to be loved. And Krishna, interesting, Krishna came to offer respect to Kunti, but Kunti offers respect to Krishna. Here, see, because she knows he's the original person as described in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramakrishna Sakshanda Viha Anadirada Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam. So Krishna is Anadir, he has no beginning. That's something we cannot understand on a material platform. Everything has a beginning and an end. But Krishna has no beginning. And we as a spirit soul have also no beginning. Krishna says in 220 as the quality of the spirit soul. The spirit soul has never been born. It never came into being. And it will never cease to be the future. So that's who we are. Because Krishna is the supreme controller. Brahma is the first created being. He's the father. But Krishna is a great grandfather of Krishna. So he's the original controller. We have that. Of course, there are many small controllers in this world, thinking themselves in control, but they are all controlled by someone else. The husband tries to control the wife, and the wife tries to control the husband. So But the original controller is Krishna. And he's not controlled by anyone. That, of course, he can be controlled by the lovers of his devotees. That's something else. That, and he's Prakriti Param. Is beyond the control of material nature. If we connect with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, and our heart becomes purified, we also come out of the control of material nature. We come under the control of the spiritual element. That's different. That's explained in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There Krishna explains there is the fallible and the infallible. Infallible are the Nitya Siddhi, the devotees of the Lord who are in the spiritual world, and we are the fallible. We are here in this material world. But we can become infallible again if we take the Krishna consciousness. But even if we become infallible, still we are under control of Krishna's energy, either material or spiritual. But if we are under control of the spiritual energy, we have much more freedom. We see Narada Muni, it is not under control of material nature, and he travels everywhere in the material and the spiritual worlds. That so it's Prakriti Param. It's beyond the material, the material nature. It's beyond the cosmic manifestation, because he's the creator of the cosmic manifestation. That, but still, Krishna is far away, but is close by also. It is that Antar Bahir, that he's in every atom, that, and he's in everyone's heart at the same time. That and is Krishna is present in this world in his Archa Viha, Srila Prabhupada said, Archa Viha, in the form of the deity. Is there to accept our service. That and then Prabhupada speaks about deity worship. The deity is like a letterbox. A letterbox, right from the post, if you put your letter in it, it will reach the destination. If you put your letter somewhere in another box, it will not reach. So that worshipping the deity, we can worship Krishna directly. We can pray to him. We can serve him. It's an authorized, like an authorized letterbox. It will go to its destination. That so yes, Antar Bahir Avashtitam, that inside and outside. That so that's an Uttam Adhikar, like Queen Kunti here, because she had developed love for Krishna. Our Acharya says she's, yeah, that she had prema for Krishna. Prema has 7 stages, I think. Pranaya, Pralaya, Mana, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava. That's Bhava as a stage of prema, and Mahabhava. These are different stages of prema. Our Acharya says she was in Anuraga prema. Anuraga. Because Anuraga means great attachment to Krishna. She could only think of Krishna. That and that is the position of Queen Kunti, a very elevated position. And she realized Krishna is in everything. She's in every atom. That she's in our heart. Krishna is the doer of everything in this world as a super soul. As a spirit soul, we only desire. This is by the deluding energy of Krishna, we cannot understand that. We do not realize that. We think, yeah, I'm speaking, but no, Krishna is speaking. Although as a spirit soul, I desire what to speak. And Krishna inspires his devotees what to say also. When they preach to the mind, he is everywhere. And that, and because Krishna says, yeah, those who are under this deluded energy, and prakatiki amani guna karma sarvasa ankara vimudat. They think that they are the doer, but everything is done by material nature. So they are vimudas, because they are under this deluding energy. Maya Javanikachiyam, in the next verse, Queen Kunti, that we will discuss. Krishna says, oh, you, Krishna, you are like an artist on a stage. You have your performance. And nobody can understand who you are. Like someone is playing a drama, playing another role, but you cannot understand who he is. So you are like that. You delude everyone's mind. That's deluding energy. Maya Chavanikashyam, the curtain of Maya, which will be discussed in the next verse. Antarbair avastitam. You are outside and inside. That so Krishna is in our heart, but he's also outside. That so these are the high realizations of Queen Kunti, who we will hear is in the next verses. She's very humble. She says, I'm a woman, how can I understand all these things? But she's on the highest level of realization. Any questions, comments?
So is she a jiva? Or was she someone from the spiritual world?
And my understanding is the Pandavas, she belongs to the Pandavas, we're all Nitya Siddha devotees of the Lord. Eternal associates of Krishna who travel with him from universe to universe to perform the drama. But of course, the drama is real. That they experience it as real. That yes, she's not an ordinary jiva. She's liberated, so very clear. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Yes.
So it was clear from your class that we are responsible for our desires, and then our desires are fulfilled by the super soul who lives within our heart. A lot of people, when we teach them, say that, well, why doesn't Krishna make me desire to worship him instead of desire to sanctification? So, and we give them an answer, well, then there is no free will and have free will. But how can we help someone understand that ultimately we are responsible for our desires? Like nobody else is responsible for our desires. How can we understand that?
So the question is, I repeat, is how can we understand that we are responsible for our own desires? For this, we have to go back to our real identity. We are a spirit soul. How do we know the spirit soul is in this body? As a person of consciousness. If the consciousness is gone, the soul is not there anymore. And what is the activity of the soul? Is desire. But we have to be careful at that point. Desires come from different sources. Desires sometimes pop up into the mind. This desire can come from different origin. Why do they pop into the mind? Pop up that it's Krishna in the heart who sees, oh, you had this desire in your previous life, this material desire, but it didn't work out. And he brings it again in your mind, not all at the same time. And then Krishna says, try again. And the conditioned soul looks at the desire and thinks, yes, he identifies with the desire. That's my desire. I'm the mind. That's me. And he runs after it. But the liberated soul, the devotee of Krishna, looks at the desire. What kind of desire is this? Oh, that's a material desire. Krishna says, if I fulfill a material desire, then Krishna says, if you try to enjoy in this world, the result will be suffering. So the devotee thinks, oh, then I'm going to suffer if I fulfill. I'm not going to do it. And then it disappears. That is because we have millions of this, probably, unfulfilled desires in our heart. Krishna reminds us. That's one source. Another source is desires can come from the environment. If you are in a sinful environment, desire for sinful activities coming to the mind. You have to be careful always to be in a sattvic environment. The temple is transcendental. That's better. Here it's better than in New York. New York was hectic. And then, but then you have a third source of desire, the desire coming from the soul. And that's our desire. But whether they come from the environment or whatever, we are responsible for these desires. That these desires, Krishna pops up into our mind because we try to fulfill them in previous lives and so on. They come factually from the soul. That although maybe in previous lives, but yes, we are responsible for our desires. The conditioned soul, he identifies with the body. Nothing he can do about it. But when you become a devotee, you understand that the mind is an instrument and that the desires coming into the mind, it's not me. And he has the free will to say no to it. But as a devotee, we are cultivating different desires, spiritual desires. And that's our responsibility, to cultivate these spiritual desires. The spiritual desires will help us to go back to Godhead. Factually, Krishna consciousness is changing of desire from material enjoyment to giving Krishna spiritual enjoyment. And if we give Krishna spiritual enjoyment, we will enjoy spiritual bliss. That's our responsibility. But you can also only execute this responsibility if you stop identifying with the mind. And to do that, you must perform follow regulative principles, stop sinful life. Because Krishna here, Kunti will speak about this deluding energy. How is it that we are so covered by this illusory energy? Sinful activities. What is a sinful activity? That we explained here. Krishna is Ishvara, and he's the enjoyer. If we think, oh, this is mine for my enjoyment, that's sinful. Because that's trying to take Krishna's position. So devotee stops that. He stops that, and all these nonsense desires, he loses his interest in it. And he cultivates from his soul the pure desire to serve Krishna. So this requires understanding, that requires deeper knowledge, that and realization also, because a devotee starts to cultivate his material desires, and he feels he becomes free from this dictation of this mind, and so on. He suffers. Devotees, if they are properly engaged, they are suffering much less than people outside. They may be still suffering. If we are not yet pure, but much less than, because if you identify with the mind, your anxiety is without, and the demons, they identify with the mind. The anxiety is without, and Krishna says in Bhagavad. Does that help to understand?
Yes, ma'am. I'll follow that.
Yeah.
So one of the sources, there are sources of, you mentioned 3 sources of desires.
Yeah, there may be more,
There
but
may be
just
more,
the 3
but
may.
desires that have the soul before or are arising now.
Yeah.
Desires that are reminded by Krishna, which are unfulfilled desires of the soul from before, but the soul has forgotten. And when the opportunity is there, Krishna says, you could try this, you could try that.
Yeah.
And the third source is the environment.
Yeah.
Now my question is about the desires of the environment.
Yeah.
So someone like me who are not in a temple environment, often out with, yesterday I was talking about people I shake hands with and count my fingers afterwards. There are so many things coming from these people because I'm there in that environment, and I can say that I spend the majority of my time actually with these kinds of people. So, and it's unavoidable for the present moment. So how can I protect myself from those kinds of influences? Because I can see that acting on me.
Yeah, that's, you can, when it acts on you, but you can reduce the influence. And how to do that? You live at least you have a morning program. You chant with attention. You have a good morning program. It will give you spiritual energy to resist this material energy during the day. And during the day, focus of Prabhupada's mission, Prabhupada's. We have to do so many things for the sake of preaching. But if we are always aware, it's for Prabhupada, it's for Krishna. Krishna protects us. And in the evening, we hear again about Krishna. So it becomes like a sandwich. But also Krishna says, and that's important in the Uddhav Gita, that he explains how to develop love for Krishna in the 11th canto. And he says, first, the devotee should live in goodness. By doing activities in goodness, we should conquer passion and ignorance. And then from goodness, we can go easily to transcendence. So goodness means you get up in the morning and you take a shower, you are clean, You come to the temple for Mangala Arti and so on. That you have a regulated life. That and that is, yeah, that's goodness. That and it gives 21 ways in the Uddhav Gita how to cultivate goodness. Interesting. We cultivate goodness by the scriptures we read, that by the food we eat, and that by the people we associate with. So if we associate with devotees, we receive association. Very good. If we deal with other people outside, we should give their association, not take their association. That and that's something that's tricky. Not easy sometimes. You have always to be careful. But anyway, that's what Krishna says in the Uddhav Gita. Does that help? Yeah, okay. Good.
What about the desires coming in mind because of previous experiences? A lot of things comes in mind which are not appropriate or not aligned with the. So, like two questions, Maharaj, like how to get rid of those. And second, what is the impact of that? If it is only coming in mind, but we are trying to reject it. But so still it impacts karmically.
So first, material desires. How to deal with it is explained in 270 of Bhagavad Gita. That as many rivers flow, Yamanam Achala Pavishchan Samutmanapa Pavishanti Serpent. Well, that is first many rivers enter into the ocean, but the ocean is not disturbed by it. So all these material desires enter our mind, but we don't act upon these desires. We are tolerating them, and surely they will go away, because but it takes a while. It's not a process that it doesn't happen overnight. That material nature is strong and will bombard you again and again. Is this person really wanting to become a devotee? And we tolerate and tolerate again and again. And at the end, what will happen? Durga becomes afraid. Thinks it's becoming a devotee. That I have to be careful with pure devotees. But yes, it's a fact. We are in the material world. It never stops. It never stops. You have continued to tolerate that. Even if you become a pure devotee, Maya will still bombard, but it has no effect on them. No effect. So tolerating. So, but the level of toleration we have to cultivate. Guru Maharaj always says, like a weight lifter, it doesn't begin with the big weight, but little by little it builds up, and we become more and more tolerant. That it's but it's not that we are making spiritual advancement by focusing on that fight. We focus on Krishna and serving Krishna, and that's the point. When Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture in one morning, a devotee asked Prabhupada, "Do you have material desires in your mind?" And Prabhupada humbly said, "Yes." But then later, when he went out the temple and went, the devotee was that question in the morning, opened the door for Prabhupada, who was going to another temple. Prabhupada looked at him and said, yes, I have material desires in my mind, but I have no time for them. So that's the point. We are too busy with serving Krishna and Prabhupada. We have no time for them. And therefore it doesn't affect us. So always be good engaged in Krishna consciousness. We don't have time for them.
The other part of the question was, when we dwell on these material desires, but even we know that yes, it's not good, but sometimes it's difficult to control those thoughts. Then what is the impact karmically?
In Kali Yuga, it has only impact when you do it. That's the special arrangement for Kali Yuga. So otherwise, you would not be good in. So, but in other ages, it will affect you. Yeah, that Kali Yuga is too strong. But thank you very much. Yantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Jai.
Yeah.